So I thought I'd do something a little different. I don't do these kind of videos very often, but I thought I'd do a question answer or this or that video, I guess is the best way to put it. I used to do these quite often, but I've gotten away from it. People seem to have liked them for the longest time, and then when I said, well, this is what we're going to do, people stopped watching them, so I don't know. It's hard to keep up with. I haven't talked about the Berkey in a very long time, and I've mentioned it in videos, but I haven't really went into a lot of detail with it. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with it this time either, because I've got lots of videos on it. If you just type Little House Off Grid Berkey, you're going to find all my videos in the search bar on YouTube. Sorry about the shadowing. It just happens. I mean, it's just the way it's going to be. I can't move the Berkey because it's full of water right now, so that's kind of why I'm stuck in the shadowing, so I apologize. I just watched a video today. It says, lighting is very important in your videos. Well, normally I do my videos outside where the lighting isn't an issue, so I said, oh, I don't have a problem. Well, here I am. Okay, so the Berkey is a water purification system. It, in my opinion, is probably one of the best. It is definitely the original. Now, first thing somebody will say is, oh, it doesn't filter out fluoride. Well, that's good because I don't have fluoride here. I got a well. Fluoride can be filtered out with these, but you'd have to buy an extra filter. So these have 2 carbon filters. You can buy ceramic filters. I like the charcoal filters. They have a longer lifespan, and they, I think, actually purify a little bit better. So I get the carbon filters. People talk about microns and micron filters. So these filter out so small. Berkey doesn't even talk about microns anymore. It just tells you what it can filter out and how much it can filter out. So it gives you a whole list. When you get the box, when you reorder filters, you get a box, and it just lists off hundreds of items that it filters out. One of the things that does filter out is heavy metals. We were talking about uranium the other day, and sure enough, I Googled it, and it filters out uranium also. Since we have been in the house, or here on the property, I should say, I don't have to clean the filters that often. When we were traveling, the water was just so murky and mucky everywhere we went. I would have to clean them almost every time, or at least maybe once a week, every couple weeks at the minimum. Here, I've been cleaning them about every 6 months and priming them about the same amount of time. Occasionally, I'll prime them a little bit more frequently. What it is if your filters sit around for longer than 3 days without filtering any water, they dry out. And so they get little air pockets in it, and those air pockets don't allow water to go through it. So you prime it, and this is all in the instructions on how to set up your Berkey, so I'm not going to go through all this. Like I said, if you want to know how to do that, just go to my other videos that I've done on this. I've done a lot, pretty in-depth videos. I've even done one where I was out on the camper, pop-up camper, and we had really rusty water, and the filters were just mucky, dirty, and they cleaned right up. When we were on the road, the filters would last about a year, consistently. Since we've been here, this is the 2nd year on these filters, and they don't seem like they're going to stop working. They're doing very well. I just cleaned them maybe a week ago, and you can hear how fast it's draining water. When you start getting those little drip, 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 you know it's probably time to clean them. But when you get a steady flow of just steady stream of water, then they're pretty clean, and that's how they come in as new. There's a test you can do with red food coloring that allows you to see if it's still filtering. Now, you got to be careful. These new food colorings come with additives that the filters do filter out. These filters don't filter out minerals. So a lot of people say, well, this is soft water. It's not soft water. It actually retains the minerals that your body needs in the water. It just filters out all the bad stuff. It's amazing how it works. So you can see that I've used mine quite well. We've got damage here. I've had to replace this nozzle. They now sell metal nozzles. When I had to make this replacement, they were sold out, so I just went ahead and got a plastic one. I have a backup one. I have backup filters. I always keep a backup just in case something breaks. I'm not without water. I didn't have a backup of these nozzles when I broke the original one. We're sitting here with buckets trying to catch water. It was kind of painful. I didn't enjoy that at all. So now we have backups to everything. But these are very easy to maintain if you just keep them on your counter like this. Traveling, it was a lot more difficult. We were filtering out stream water and spring water in Virginia. Believe it or not, spring water is not as clean as everybody makes it out to be. Spring water, I would have to clean the filters about every 2 weeks. With the well water, I'm not having any issues with it. And you got to remember, my well does have problems. It does get groundwater, so I have to flush out my well when it gets a lot of rainwater. So the well's not exactly clean, yet I don't have any problems with it. So that kind of tells you spring water isn't as clean as what people make it out to be. But I really enjoy it. It takes out chlorine and just all kinds of stuff. Now, there's a couple viruses that it won't take out. Hepatitis and I think AIDS, HIV, it doesn't take out those. So if you are doing stream water, you want to be careful that you don't have people going to the bathroom next to the stream. If you do, you're going to want to boil it. Boil your water, and then you can Berkey it. But remember, do not put boiling water or hot water in this, and don't let these freeze. If they freeze, they'll break. If you put hot water in it, water molecules are smaller when it's hot, so it doesn't filter out as well. I really recommend these. I've had one for years. My ex-wife took the first one. The camper fire, we lost one. So this is the third one I've owned. I'll never be without one. All right, second thing I wanted to talk about today is the incubator. I told you the other day we were going to get an incubator. Of course, everybody told me I should build my own. And I don't know why everybody told me that, because when I was explaining it in the video, I wanted one that controlled the temperature spot on. So building one, I wouldn't have a very good control of temperature. I said this in the video, so it didn't make sense why people were telling me to build when I wanted to have a very controlled atmosphere. With chicken eggs, you don't necessarily have to have a very controlled temperature. It can vary quite a bit, actually. You won't have a very high production rate. You will lose chickens, but you'll get some out of it. For example, we had 10 eggs underneath the chicken, and out of those 10 eggs, we got 2. She gets up and leaves for several minutes at a time, and then comes back, and it's cold at night and hot during the day. Well, I wanted something a little bit more controlled than that. In my past, I had a used one. My grandma gave me one, and it was a little styrofoam thing. We tried to put duck eggs in it. Now, duck eggs need a much more controlled environment. They got to be spot on with humidity and temperature. And I don't know how ducks do it. I really don't, because every time I tried to produce duck eggs, during the process, we would lose them. The last set I did, we candled them, and there was ducks in the eggs. We were like days away from actually getting ducks out of it. It shut off, didn't kick back on, because it was used and it didn't control the temperature very well. We lost all those eggs. So this time, I said in my last video that I wanted something real controlled. This one had the best reviews, and now it's here. I really like it. My first concern about it was it AC? The reason I was worried about whether it was AC is because this has a clock on it. It has a timer, how often to rotate the eggs. This has an automatic rotation, so it turns the eggs. It has an automatic timer for 21 days. That's how long chicken eggs last. So I think like on 17 days it stops rotating them, or 18 days it stops rotating. So that clock has to be good, clean energy. Well, I got an inverter. It's modified sine wave. Well, modified sine wave is not clean energy. You plug a clock into a modified sine wave, it won't keep time. You'll lose time quickly. And what it is, it's the hertz. You want to have 60 hertz. Clean energy. Well, with a modified sine wave, it's all over the place. It's 40, 80, I mean, it just bounces. When you put a meter on it, it's not even close to being right. Modified sine wave's fine to run things like the refrigerator. The motor gets a little hot, but it's no big deal. We've had this refrigerator for how many years now? And it's always been on a modified sine wave, always. But I was concerned about getting this. I thought maybe I was gonna have to buy a new inverter. And they're called pure sine wave. Well, when we got it, turns out I don't need to. This has what's called a converter right here. And what that does is convert AC energy to DC energy. My inverter, on the other hand, converts DC energy into AC energy. So literally I'll be going from battery to AC back to DC. So DC, AC, DC. Now, we have talked about cutting into the wires, but with this being a new piece of technology for us, I don't think I want to cut into it. But when you read the instructions on, or read the back of the converter, it's 12 volts, 5 amps. You actually lose quite a bit of energy when you convert. I don't know, let's say it's 5%. We're getting 5% energy loss. Between the inversion on the inverter and this, well, we've decided that we're just gonna live with the 5%, so I don't have to cut the wires. But if I wanted to, I could cut the wires, put it right on the battery. It's a 12-volt system. So if something were ever to happen, I could cut into it. Pretty excited about this. Obviously it's see-through, so we'll get to watch the chickens be hatched. Carolyn is going to wait until she gets her plants out of the house. Right now she's got the plants in and out. It's supposed to freeze again tonight. I mean, here we are almost, what, late April. It's after Easter. It's gonna freeze tonight. So the plants are in the house. She's got them underneath the grow light. So as soon as she gets them out of the house, I think she's gonna start getting those out of the house around May 10th. I think this is the 18th of April. So 20 days left, and then we're gonna start collecting eggs. This can hold 22 eggs, I think. And we're gonna start producing chickens then. By the time they're born and out of the house, it'll be June time frame. They can go outside. They'll stay warm because the temperature outside will be warm. And then that'll give us some meat birds. We've been talking about meat birds. Do we wanna buy any this year? And we didn't. And do we wanna go to Save a Lot and get some legs and thighs for 49 cents a pound? And we decided we're not going to do that either. Since we're going to butcher, we'll go ahead and find the sales on the pork and the beef and all that. We'll can all that stuff, and then we'll just can the chickens that we produce out of here. If we get 22 chickens out of this, we think that we can do it 3 times this year. So that'd be 66 chickens that we'll be able to butcher. We'll raise them for 12 to 14 weeks. We'll put them on extra protein. So that's kind of what we got going on today. So if you'll check out this other channel on this up next box right here, I'd really appreciate it. So I hope I can inspire you to plan out your dreams. Thanks for watching.